Diya pada jaya sohoy If I do,
I guess I could. Yeah. I'll do Goranga Bolite Habe.
Goranga Bolite Habe, I believe is
86.
80.
It's a classic.
Is it knee type first?
You can do them together,
Yeah.
or as separate as you like.
Goranga Bolite Habe Bulaka Shadira Hari Hari Bolite Na Yane Babira Goranga Bolite Habe Bulaka Raghunatha Hare
wants to do Radha Krishna?
None is ready to sing a Krishna Maharaj.
No, I feel too shy to sing when Gurudev comes walking in. I won't be able to sing anymore.
Perfect timing.
It's
Stop and
happened to
start
me
saying
before.
Jai
No. No, Shinga,
I went
how
and
about you?
emailed on group.
Nominate you.
Yeah.
I was doing it wrong.
For me, I just like my voice stops.
You want to play Mridanga Jiva or no? Okay. Alright. Page 344.
Look at that big bunny. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
Aw.
Mr. Bunny. Hello.
Can I park behind the Achuta's car?
I think so.
We're leaving that, are you leaving that space
Can
for
I park
Jagadish?
behind the car for who?
Is there
Oh,
space for Jagadish?
We're leaving that space for Jagadish? or-
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
maybe leaving that space for Jagadish.
Okay.
See, but I had to
I'm parking in the end. It's no problem there?
Yeah, it's fine.
See?
Wherever.
Yeah, there, in the end.
I see. Okay.
Did you say 334?
44.
344.
Jaya Jaya Sundara Nanda Kumar. Jaya Jaya Sundara Nanda Kumar.
Jaya Jaya Sundara Nanda Kumar.
Jaya Jaya Sundara Nanda Kumar.
Jaya Jaya Sundara Nanda Kumar. change it.
Page 216. This is Ekadasi. Shurabhakada. Shurabhakada?
I may have to come sit next to you on the career shoulder.
You don't know. He's here? Oh, no, we can just wait.
Yeah.
Or just do some of them while he's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
We should be singing some before he comes in.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Gurudev Tumhari jai jai ho, 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 oh jai jai ho tumhari jai jai ho, 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 Gurudev 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 Tumhari jai jai ho. Jai jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol, Jai jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol,
Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol, Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol.
Jai jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol, Jai jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol.
Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol, Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol.
Oh Hari Bol, 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 Hari
Nice. Wow. You're on top of it. Hari Bol. Might be a little squeezy. There's space on here. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Is Sridhar? Did he bring his drum?
Oh,
They didn't bring that drum. They didn't bring a drum?
No.
We didn't bring that drum.
My son
Okay.
needs to talk to me.
I was thinking. Nice to see you.
You have songbooks?
We knew it. Yes. Yes, we do. Listen to the people. Yeah.
I'm improvising.
Fix that now. I'm trying. I'm so sorry. Yeah, me too. I had it set. So.
Okay, but we are the
Okay, we'll sing Jared on this one. Once it's not connected.
No, wait, it is. Yeah, that is it. That is it.
बोले वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय, बरसने वाली की जय, जय जय श्री राधे। श्री राधा माधव, जय कुंज बिहारी।
हरि लाल की जय, बड़े शनिवार की जय, वृषभानुराज कुमारी जी की जय, जय जय श्री राधे। जय गौर शीतनाथ प्रेमानंदे। Do you have the other book also?
They're all three there. Yeah.
Nam Shrestam Manamavi Vishachiputram Atra Surupam Rupam Tasya Kachamuri Purim Maturim Goshtavati Radha Kundam Girivaram Ahoradika Marvasam Rabdu Isya Pratita Kripaya Sri Guru Tam Natosmi Murave Gaura Chandrayo Radhikaya Tadali Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Ananda Leelamaya Vikahaya Prema Bhadivyaschari Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshmi Chitta Kamari Thoram Kamari Kripa Mahitam Sharanam Prapaya Brinde Namaste Charanara Vrindam Brinde Namaste Charanara Vrindam Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. Everyone. Hey Krishna, Hey Radha, Hey Saketi, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. Sham Sundar Shakanda Shekhar Smaraha Samurali Manana Radhika Rasika Mama Kripalite Supriya Charana Kim Kurim Kuri Tavai Vasmi Najivami Tayavana Iti Vikaya Devi Tam Namam Sharatikam. First of all, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers, thousands and thousands of times, at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual Gurudev, Asmadiya Paramaradatam Guru Padaparna, Nitilila Pravishta Om Vishnupada Shtotra Sri Rupanuga Charivarya Sila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev, to Srila Prabhupada, and to all of our Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, headed by my very dear Rangapuri Prabhu. Vanchakalpatarubhascha
Vipasindhudeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Hari Bol. Jai.
So, by the courses of Sri Guran Koranga, somehow or other we have arrived in this place, Austin, Texas. It was a very long time since I was here last time I came, when Srila Gurudev had a very big festival. Not in Austin? Yeah, 2008 in Houston. And, yeah. So it's a great fortune that most places where I go in the world, they just remind me of Gurudev now, because I had the chance to go with Gurudev to all of these places. So this year we have been celebrating the 150th anniversary of the appearance of Prabhupada Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
Jai.
So the festivities began early, in about April last year, and before that was in Mexico. There was a big festival in Mexico when the acharyas of so many different mats all came together to glorify Srila Prabhupada. So this time has been a very wonderful uniting experience for all the members of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur's family. So before that festival took place, I remember Sri Rangapuri Prabhu came to visit me in Vrindavan and said, "Oh, can you come to Mexico for this festival? And also we want to print some special book for Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur to celebrate this 150th anniversary. So can you make a book?" And I thought, oh, yes, I have an idea. Because there was a lecture of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, a couple of lectures of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur that my Gurudev had translated into Hindi, but they'd never been published in English before. And these lectures are so profound, just completely life-changing. They help a person move from just the general level of understanding of Siddhanta that is easily available to the beginner devotees, Kanishta Adhikaris, and enter into the Harikatha of the Madhyam Adhikaris. My Gurudev used to say there are different types of Harikatha, different types of Siddhanta even. There's one type of Siddhanta to encourage the beginners, the Kanishta Adhikaris. But then there is a Siddhanta and a Katha for the Madhyam Adhikaris, which is much more profound and very difficult for those on the low platform, for their ego to even tolerate. Mm-hmm. And then there's the Katha of the Uttam Bhagavats as well. That is something else. So these lectures of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur are so profound and beautiful. And on the inspiration of Rangapuri Prabhu, we quickly translated and published, and it was released here, Gaudiya Darshan, in this book. So have you read? Huh? So it's very beautiful. The first part is somewhat technical. Even Gurudev said the first part of the lecture is quite challenging, because it's a very deep discussion about the nature of sound and transcendental sound, and how all the philosophers in India throughout the ages try to understand how does sound cause a meaning to appear in our heart. So he analyzes the ideas of Jaimini Rishi, of the Purvamimamsa system, Karmakanda system, analyzes the ideas of Panini, the most prominent grammarian in India, and also Patanjali of the yoga school, and Sankhya Darshan, and then finally gives Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's conclusion and Srila Jiva Goswami's conclusion about the true nature of transcendental sound. How if we actually hear a transcendental sound, then we realize that the sound, the sound and that which the sound is referring to, in other words, the signifier and the signified, they are non-different. And so when we actually hear divine sound, then immediately, there and then, there is jatiti pratita. That means an immediate experience. If the heart is open, if that devotee is surrendered, if he's not covered by speculations and by material desires, then the surrendered disciple, when they hear the divine sound, immediately when it touches the heart, there is a bursting, spurti, a vision of Sri Krishna. And gradually it becomes more and more clear and more beautiful, Krishna's qualities and associates and pastimes. So, and that is called Gaudiya Darshan. Darshan means seeing, right? Generally people think the word darshan means philosophy. But darshan means darshan, actually seeing. And so, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur said, we all know the meaning of these words, Shravanam, hearing, and Kirtanam, chanting, and Smaranam, remembering. But that is generally according to our worldly experience. For example, you can hear the doorbell ring. You can hear someone in the street speaking to you. So this is called hearing. But in the context of bhakti, hearing means when the transcendental Supreme Lord in the form of sound, in the heart of the pure Vaishnav, manifests on his lips in the form of Shabda Brahma, then that Shabda Brahma enters the ear of the disciple who is a Seva Snigdha Sisya. He is filled with affection and love for his Guru. And it enters into his heart, and then there is a direct revelation of that reality as he's hearing there and then. So Shravanam implies darshan. And then when the disciple begins to do kirtan, then he has the darshan again. And when he's seeing that beautiful form of Krishna in his heart while he's chanting, that's called smaranam. So we have these terms, hearing, chanting, remembering, and they can be understood by the general persons. But when a person has developed firm faith, ado shraddha, sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya, anata nivritti nishta. So up to here, this is actually not bhakti tattva. From shraddha to nishta is actually shraddha tattva. It's the development of faith, from soft faith to firm faith. Then after nishta, now ruchi asakti, now bhakti begins. Ruchi and asakti, these are the real, actual sadhana of pure bhakti. And then bhav bhakti comes and prem bhakti, like this. So these points are explained in such a beautiful way by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur in this lecture that he gave in 1929 in the Albert Hall in Calcutta to a very big group of the Vaishnava scholars and the intelligentsia of Calcutta at that time. So then, that was in April last year. So then we came round to this year, and just recently, as you know, it was the actual day, the actual birthday of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, 150th birthday. So we went to Navadvip to celebrate. And so just as in December when that was approaching, I was thinking, oh, I already gave him this book for his 150th anniversary as an offering. But now his actual birthday is coming and I don't have anything to give him. Oh, what will I do now? I can't say, hey, I gave you your birthday present, you know. 9 months ago. So then I was feeling really embarrassed and I thought, oh, I should make another book for his birthday. So then just now in Navadvip, we just came from India a few weeks ago. We published this. Also, it was never translated into English before. Vedic Wisdom Tales. The original title was Upakyani Upadesh, Dvitiya Kanda. So you probably know there's a book called Upakyani Upadesh, the instructions in stories by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, and they're very short stories about things like the wise old monkey. You know that story? And the wise old monkey was he told the young monkey, so we live here in a palace with the pets of the king, but we should leave at once, great danger is coming. And then the young monkeys, they wouldn't listen to him, and he left. And then afterwards something happened. He could see something was coming in the future, and they all got sacrificed. So there are so many stories in that Upakhana Upadesh, they're actually from Lokik Niti Shastra. That means in India, there are texts. They're not divine scriptures. They give guidance in Lokik Niti, that means worldly ethics. Books like Panchatantra and Hitopadesh. You have Chanakya Niti, of course, Vidu Niti. So these books, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur took from the Lokik texts of ethics, so many stories, and then he explained them, how we can apply them practically in our spiritual life, what type of meaning they have in our spiritual life. So that was published, Upakhana Upadesh, and it was translated into English, and many devotees are aware of these stories. But what's not very well known is that was just volume 1. So there was a volume 2, Dvitiya Kanda, and this volume 2, it wasn't from the worldly scriptures, it was only from the Paralokik Shastra, from the Katha Upanishad, from the Kena Upanishad, from the Chandogya Upanishad, from Mahabharata, of course, from Srimad Bhagavatam, and from other later Gaudiya Vaishnava scriptures like Prem Vilas. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur has collected these stories, and many of the stories, the devotees are really familiar. We kind of know them, we may have heard them many times. But the way that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur extracts very beautiful meanings, in only a way that a great liberated soul with profound bhav, with profound love for Krishna could extract those meanings, is really quite pure. It's very purifying. It really changes the heart when you consider Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur's analysis of these stories, and especially if we hear them. If you read them, that's wonderful, but if we hear them also directly from a realized Vaishnava, then it's much more powerful. So this was just offered to Prabhupada on his birthday. So I humbly request all the devotees, please, for celebrating this 150th year, spend this year just diving deeply into the words, the teachings, and the practical life and example of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, because he gave so much. And we know about his life history, how he was born with the umbilical cord around his neck and all of these things, how he had his first grains and on the Jagannath cart, and Lord Jagannath's garland fell on him. These are glorious things. But most of all, Prabhupada, he wants us to hear his message, what he had to say, what he had to present. And his words are so relevant, so relevant now, because many confusions come in the Gaudiya Vaishnava society only because of neglecting to very carefully deliberate on the words of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. So, Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai!
So there's just one more here. And I just want, this evening, I want to speak on this because Nishinga Prabhu's, he organized this tour and wanted some themes for each place. So the theme here in Austin, Texas is the Holy Name, the nectar of the Holy Name. So I want to speak something from this. That was published the year before. It's called First Aid for Chanting the Holy Name. Seems like a strange title. What does it mean? It means that, if you have an accident, then what do you do? Then you have to go and first to the first aid kit and apply to get some immediate relief to save the situation. So the first aid is not a complete solution, but it's something that you can do immediately to try to improve the situation. So in the same way, Srila Vishwanatari Thakur, he said that Nam Aparad, the offenses to the holy name, they are like a thunderbolt. Indra has this weapon, the thunderbolt. When he fires this weapon, he can reduce a mountain into powder in a moment. It's a very powerful weapon. So Srila Vishwanatari Thakur said, you should think that the offenses against the holy name, such as inattentiveness and so on, these are like a thunderbolt on the head. So you can deliberate. How is your the quality of chanting Harinam, japa every day. And very often we see that sometimes devotees, they get into bad habits and they just take the japa and chanting and thinking about this, about shopping, about the news, about money, like this. But what they don't realize is that as they're chanting, but their mind is wandering to other places. Vishnu Thakur said, this is the thunderbolt. It's like becoming extremely injured. Because the holy name is our only refuge. And if we offend the holy name, and the holy name withdraws his divine power and grace from us, then what solution is there? There's nowhere to go. And so, it said, Maduram Maduram Eitan Mangalam Mangalanam. The holy name of Krishna is the sweetest of the sweet. It's the sweetest of the sweet. But we have to ask ourselves, am I tasting the sweetness or not? So if that sweetness is not being relished, it means there's some aparad, some offenses to the holy name are there. And so it's an extremely, extremely serious situation. And some remedy, something should come straight away. Ultimately, without sadhu sangha, staying with sadhus, serving them, hearing from them from a long time, praying, it cannot be attained. But there's something that we can do every day, even by ourselves, to adjust our relationship with the holy name. Maduram Maduram Mangalam Mangalanam Sakama Nigavam Vali Satvalam Chitsurupam Sakritapi Parigitam Swadaya Hilayava Brigavara Naramatram Tari Krishna Nama. Srila Vyasadeva wrote in the Skanda Purana, the holy name is the sweetest of the sweet. It is the most auspicious of all auspicious things. It is the ripened fruit on the desire creeper of the Vedas. You know, the Vedas are like a desire creeper or desire tree. Whatever you want, you can take from the Vedas. If you want to have money, then you can do a yaga for that. If you want to have a son, you can have a yaga for that. If you want to find a good husband, there's some ritual that you can do. So whatever you want from this world, there's some ritual in the Vedas. But the holy name is considered to be the fruit on the desire tree of the Vedas. The significance is this, that we can go to a desire tree and ask what we want, but the fruit on the tree is what the tree wants to give to us. Right? So actually the desire tree of the Vedas doesn't want to give us all these worldly things. The desire tree of the Vedas wants to give us its very juicy, delicious, sweet fruit. Harinam. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Sakritapi Parigitam Swadaya Hilayava. If a person will chant, Parigitam means if they'll sing the name, Pari indicates not even clearly, even if you don't pronounce it perfectly correctly, or even if you only pronounce some of the syllables, but still, the holy name, it will give liberation. One namabhas, not the pure name even, one namabhas will give liberation. So this verse is not glorifying liberation, it's just saying that if a faithless person, a person who has not developed faith, and is not trying to attain love for the holy name, if he will chant namabhas once, he'll be liberated. Then kim uta, what more will be the result if a person will chant the name of Krishna, desiring his eternal service? So liberation is very difficult to get. So this poetry is employing the kaimutya nyai, the logic of kim uta, it's the logic of what more. So if you can get liberation from just namabhas, even without faith, then what more will a person get if they really chant with sambandha gyan, with the knowledge of their relationship with Krishna, and begging for Radha Krishna's eternal service? Then that is something, just kim uta, what can we say? That is a gift beyond our words, beyond our imagination. So when we, every day, we sit and we take our japamala and we begin to chant the holy names, then devotees may find that some obstacles come. So in this book, we have discussed 15 obstacles that the devotee may face, which are standing between him and the experience of the nectar of the holy name. So these obstacles first one, preoccupation with mundane things. That even though we stopped our daily life to sit and chant, but the mind is still churning with the thoughts of daily life. What happened yesterday, what happened last week, what might happen tomorrow or next year. Like this, the mind is still churning with these things. And so we can't actually have an experience of japa. Do you know what japa is? Japa is not just pulling the rope and saying snick, snick, ram, snick, snick. There's a definition in Hari Bhakti Vilas. Mano madhyais tito mantro mantra madhyais tammana mano mantram samayuktam etadi japalakshanam. It means when you put the mantra in your mind and nothing else, only the mantra, not anything else, and then you put your mind in the mantra. So with 3D things you can't do that. If you have a big box and you put a small box inside, but then you can't put the big box inside the small box that's inside the big box because time and space.
Oh yeah, that thing.
Right? Yeah. So, but fortunately, it's not like that with the holy name. You can put the name in your mind and you put your mind in the name, Mano Mantram Samayaktam, and you have to mix the two together, that there's no difference between them. In other words, you have no consciousness and no awareness of anything else except for this vibration. Ha!
Ha.
Re! Krish!
Krish.
Na! Oh, the tongue is on the roof of the mouth. Na. Krishna, Krishna, Hare, Hare, like this. There's nothing else. You have to become, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what did he say? Sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. This kirtan, Krishna Sankirtan, is a sarvatma snapana means snan. It's a complete snan, it's a complete bathing. Just like, let's say, if you go to the Ganges, then you come to the bank of the Ganga, you give your pranams, and then you go into the water, and what you do? You just immerse yourself completely. Just go under the water. So kirtan has to be like that. Sarvatma snapanam. Sarvat, here atma, it means body, mind, senses, intelligence, dhriti, determination, swabhav. That means all your samskars and everything. Your entire existence, everything just immersed. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So etadi japalakshanam, this is the symptom of chanting japa. That's the definition of the working definition of japa from Hari Bhakti Vilas. So this is where we want to be. But what happens? First obstacle, the preoccupation with mundane things. Then the second one is the absence of introspection. The absence of introspection. It's kind of connected. We don't look inside and see, actually, all these thoughts that are going on in my mind, it's not really me. A general person is very, they see the world from the perspective of their own mind. The soul is kind of identifying with everything that's going on in the mind, and they're looking out at the world. But we have to be situated centered from the position of the Atma, and see the mind from the vantage point of the soul. So then we'll go through in the book. There's a verse, and it just gives for these 15 obstacles. The one verse gives 10 solutions which solve all the 15 obstacles. So I won't tell you all the obstacles, because then at the end you'll be so depressed. So we'll tell the solutions along with the obstacles, so that everyone will become more invigorated. So the first one, the preoccupation with the mundane, the absence of introspection, attachment to the material identity. I am Achyuta Krishna from Austin. I am Ananda Gopal from North Carolina. We can't hold on to these things, Even if you do archan, if you worship the deities, before you do any archan, even before remembering Gayatri mantras, then we have to do Bhut Shuddhi. The Bhut Shuddhi mantra? Naham Vipro na Chanarpati na Pivaishana Sudro Naham Vani na Chakripino Vanastoyativa. I'm not a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. I'm not a brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, or sannyasi. Then who are you? Nikila Paramananda Purnapritapte Gopi Bhatu Padakamala Dasa Dasa Nudasa. I am the servant of the servant of the servant of Gopinath Krishna. Krishna. Here Nath means Pran. Gopi Pran. Gopinath means Gopi Pran. That Krishna who is the Pran of the gopis. They cannot live without him. I am servant of the servant of the servant. So that Gopi Pran Krishna is Das, is Radhika. In her humility, Radhika thinks. Dasyaste kripanaya me Sakya dashaya sanhitim. When Krishna disappeared from the Ras Leela. Oh Krishna, I am your maidservant. Please accept me. So first Das is Radhika. So Das, and then the next servant is Lalita and Vishaka and the Astasakis. They're serving Radhika to help her meet with Krishna. And then Dasaha, the third one, that means Rupa Manjari and the Manjaris. So this is why we say this mantra every day. Gopi Patu Padakamalayo Dasa Dasaha. Oh, I am not anything to do with this gross or subtle physical mind-body complex. I am none of these things. Who am I? I am the maidservant of Radhika under the guidance of following Rupa Manjari, under the guidance of Lalita Sakhi, and serving Radhika like this. This Bhutshuddhi mantra is there. So the attachment to the material identity should be given up. And then the fourth obstacle is the Kartrita Abhiman. Kartrita Abhiman means the conception of being the doer. Because in this world, we really feel like we're doing everything. We feel like, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go outside, I'll get the wheel of my car and I'm going to drive. We really feel like this. Right? But this is not a fact. In Gita, Sri Krishna said, Naiva kinchit karomiti, that a person with pure consciousness knows that whether they are standing or sitting or walking or talking or eating or opening or closing their eyes, that only the external senses of the body are interacting with the sense objects, but the self is doing nothing. Self is not the doer of the worldly activities. The self has is karta. It can do, it can desire, it do spiritual things. But all the activities of the body and mind, these are not done by the soul, but we identify. That is the ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. Krishna said, the spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself, I am the doer of activities which are really being performed by Prakriti, by Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, the mixture of the three gunas. So this Kartrita Abhiman, I am doing, is very prominent. So we can't bring this into our japa. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, Varam huta barha jwala panjaranta bhavastiti na shauri chinta vimukha jana samvasa vaishasam. He said, I would rather be in an iron cage, surrounded and lowered into a blazing fire in an iron cage, than to associate with that devotee who is averse to realizing the spurti, the vision of Sri Krishna in the heart. So in his explanation of this verse, he said, that means that I would rather be in an iron cage and surrounded by fire than associate with that devotee who picks up his japamala like a person takes the reins of a horse. I mean, I gave the example of a car. You get in your car, you grab the steering wheel, and here we go. Like that. This is the Kartrita Abhiman, the sense of I am the doer. But if we bring that into our japa, I'm taking my mala now and I'm going to do this. Yes, I am the doer. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Then this is not going to work. This is not going to work, because the last offense to the holy name is ahammamadi paramo namni sopya parada krit. To maintain the attachments of I and mine, even after hearing so many instructions about the holy name. In the commentary on that verse, Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad, he says that the essence of this is, if the chanter thinks that the holy name is under the control of my tongue, it's jivadin. Look, I'm producing the holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I'm producing this name. Then this is the nama parad. but rather we should aspire that instead of thinking the name is Jivadin, controlled by my tongue, but my tongue should be Nam Adin. Because the holy name isn't this, if an ordinary person just sits down and says Hare Krishna, that's actually not the holy name. Namakshara Bahirai Bhakta Nama Kabinaya. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it's like Srila Jagannatha Pandit in Prema Vivarta, he said the external sound of the syllables uttered by a person who is not associating with pure devotees and serving them, that is actually not the holy name. It may be Nama Parad, maybe sometimes Nama Bhasmakam, but it is not the pure name. Because the identity, consider this, what is the identity of the holy name? Srila Jiva Goswami Pad said, the holy name is Van Manas Agochara. Van Manas Agochara, that means the holy name is something beyond the perception of the mind and the voice even. Van Manas Agochara, it's beyond the perception of the mind, beyond the perception of the voice. It's a Nikala Pramana Paditsched Agochara. That means the holy name is beyond being experienced by any of the 10 traditional types of investigation. In Vedic culture, the 10 types of praman or ways of getting knowledge. But all 10 of them, you cannot find and experience the holy name through the different types of praman. So, this name is a Swata Siddha. Swata Siddha means the holy name is self-existent. You can't cause the holy name. The holy name is the cause of all the millions of universes. Actually, we cannot even say that. Nama Bas has on the power of Nama Bas, Lord Brahma created the whole universe. So the actual holy name is the Advait Gyan Paratattva, the supreme, unlimited, non-dual, absolute reality. And it's not just going to come out of your mouth because I decided Hare Krishna, like this. So Atasi Krishna Namadi Nabhaved Grayam Indriyai Sevan Mukhi Jivado Swaimevas Pratyadha. Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu said, because the name of Krishna, the form of Krishna, the qualities and pastimes of Krishna cannot be perceived by the material senses. Therefore, Sevan Mukhi, one must become Sevan Mukh, attentive to service. In the commentary it is said that one should go on repeating the name. Just repeat the name in a mood of service. And when we become Sevan Mukh, fully attentive, oh Nam Prabhu, I want to serve you, and we're fully absorbed in that, then Swayam Eva Spuratyada. Swayam means the name himself. Spurati, he manifests on the tongue and begins to dance there. So we can't control that. We can only surrender and pray for the holy name, for Nam Prabhu. Nam, the holy name is our master, and he's a person. We can only pray to him. Kindly appear to us. Recently I had a debate with one big scholar, and he was saying, no, Atashi Krishna Nama Adina means that you can't fully perceive the holy name with the senses. You can perceive it kind of partially. Like which part? How are you going to divide it? It's an indivisible reality. So it's completely wrong. And to prove this point, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary makes a very beautiful, he gives 2 beautiful examples. He said that if you think that the name can be produced by your ucharan, in the back of the throat, Krishna, like this, just by a material manipulation of the mouth, then consider this. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 2 examples. One he gives is Gajendra. Gajendra the elephant, right? He was fighting with the crocodile was dragging him into the water, he was trying to bring the crocodile on the land, they were fighting for hundreds of years. Gajendra gradually became weaker and weaker and weaker, and then when he realized, I'm finished now, he's going to drag me under the water, I'm going to die. What actually happened is, he was a king, Indrajumna, in his previous life, and he'd made an offense. He was doing bhakti, but he made an offense. And as a result of that, he became an elephant in the next life. While his foot was being chewed up by the crocodile for hundreds of years, he was suffering. And that suffering was, it's also a good idea not to make offense to the holy name, because this is how you become free from the reaction of the offenses. You have to he's getting chewed up by a crocodile for hundreds of years, right? And slowly the reaction of the offense is wearing off. It's wearing off. And after a long time, finally, the effect of the offense wore off, and then the samskars of bhakti from his previous life came out again. You see? And then he began to pray, and he offered beautiful prayers. The Gajendra Stotram of Srimad Bhagavatam is very famous, the prayers of Gajendra. And so he offered those prayers, and hearing those prayers, the Supreme Lord came. And then he grabbed a lotus flower in his trunk, and he held up the lotus flower to offer a flower to the Supreme. Many people think that he was dying, and he's like, "Oh my Lord, save me. Save me from the crocodile." That's not what happened. What actually happened was, by suffering for many years, his offense gradually wore off, and when it wore off, his bhakti from the previous life began to manifest, and his mood was just, "Oh my Lord, I am yours, I fully surrender." He didn't pray to the Lord, "Save me," because surrender means you can kill me, you can save me, or you can kill me, I don't care. Because I'm surrendered to you, and whatever you want to do to me, because you are everywhere, you are in everything, and you are my best friend. Everything that's happening is for my benefit, and it's been arranged by you, especially for me. So I totally accept it. Right? So Gajendra, he wasn't saying, "Save me from the crocodile." That's not what happened. His offense wore off, his bhakti appeared, and he began to pray in a mood of total surrender, and also because it was the moment of death. And in the moment of death, there's a great humility, because at that time when you're about to die, you realize that game over. And there's nothing you can do, and you can't turn back, and no one can save you. And so there's a wave of dainya, a wave of humility comes at the moment of death. And humility is a wonderful thing, that when bhakti becomes mixed with dainya bhav, with humility, bhakti surges like a tidal wave. You know, in the ocean there are some waves, but if there's a tidal wave, it's really huge. So in the same way, when dainya bhav, the humble spirit and helplessness, when this mood comes and it mixes with whatever little bhakti we have, then the bhakti becomes ucchalita. It rises up. And so that moment came. And then, being attracted by his devotion, the Supreme Lord appeared. And then when he saw the Lord, he thought, "Oh, I can offer him this flower." And he reached out with his trunk and he grabbed the lotus flower, and he gave the lotus flower to the Lord like this. But this is the interesting point. There are so many siddhantas in this pastime, but the particular one that we're focusing on here today is that, have you ever heard an elephant recite Sanskrit prayers? And the answer is no. And the reason the answer is no, because all the letters of the Sanskrit alphabet, they're based on the mouth. Narayana Bhuta Yamvana Kramaha, the beginning of Harinam Rita Virkarnam. That all the sounds of the alphabet are produced by the mouth of the Lord. So you have the sounds which are coming from the back. They're coming like from the back, and then the roof of the mouth, and then the teeth, and then the lips, like so they come like that. And they're arranged according to the shape of the mouth. So human beings can speak Sanskrit, but elephants, you know, how are they going to make the dental sounds like tut, 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 tut? They don't have like exactly, they can't put their tongue on their teeth because their mouth is they have tusks, but that won't help them pronounce all these sounds, e, u, o, e, I, all the sounds of the alphabet. That's not going to help them. So an elephant can't actually offer prayers, but in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's right there, the beautiful prayers of a Gajendra. And so an arrogant person who's not under the guidance of Guru and without faith, they might read that and say, "Oh, here we go, another story with talking animals." I graduated from that when I, left primary school, when I left kindergarten. No, what's actually going on here is the holy name is transcendental. The name, the form, the qualities of Krishna are actually transcendental, non-different from Krishna himself. And just as Sri Krishna comes as an avatar into this world and performs his Leela, so in the same way, Kali Kale Krishna Rupa Nama Avatar. In this age of Kali, Sri Krishna descends in the form of the holy name. It's actually an avatar. So what kind of arrogance is it if we think, I can chant the holy name, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. That's not the holy name. The holy name is an avatar, and we have to be in a mood of extreme humility and lamentation and begging for mercy. And that avatar, just as Krishna appeared, or Bhagavan, Narayan appeared to Gajendra, so then the holy name may descend and dance on our tongue. And that's pure chanting. Actually, this is what we aim to experience in our life, the mercy of the holy name, like this. So one should not have the conception of being the doer. If you take your japamala like taking the reins of the horse or the steering wheel of your car, that's a no-no. Don't do that. We really have to approach the holy name with profound humility, understanding, oh Krishna, you are beyond my mind, my senses, beyond my intelligence, beyond all my worldly types of experience. Please give me your mercy, and begin to chant in a mood, a very attentive service mood, waiting for Nam to appear. So these are the first 4 obstacles, and in this verse we've given the solution in one word. That is Sakshi. Sakshi. You know what does Sakshi mean? Witness. Sakshi. It means witness. You've heard of the famous deity Sakshi Gopal. He came as a witness in a trial of his devotee. So in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a very beautiful. Oh, wait a minute, I have to go back a little bit. I promised 2 examples, right? For Atashi Krishna Namadi. Gajendra was one. Who's the other one? The other example is Bharat Maharaj in his life as a deer. When Bharat Maharaj, he remembered a deer at the end of his life and he became a deer. But then in that life as a deer, he thought he could remember his previous life and thought, oh, I blew it. So this is it. I'm going to leave my deer family. I don't want attachments for deers again. I've already done that. So he became renounced and he left his deer family and he went to an ashram where rishis were, and he was staying in the forest near the ashram of rishis so he could hear their kirtan. And he wasn't even eating the green leaves on the trees because he thought he'd become attached to the taste. So he was just eating the dry leaves that fell from the trees. And his life gradually passed away. And in the last moment, when he was about to leave that dear body, it's described in Srimad Bhagavatam that he began to pray to the Supreme Lord. So how can a deer offer Sanskrit prayers? It's not like he was just thinking the prayers in his mind. It said the deer actually spoke them, but the deer doesn't have the mechanical construction to make these prayers. So Srila Vishnu Thakur gives this as an example. The holy name is like that. Even though we have the mechanical construction to produce the holy name, but the holy name is not dependent on any mechanical construction, and the proof is Gajendra the elephant and Bharat Maharaj in the deer body. It doesn't depend on that. The divine glories of Krishna have to descend like an avatar and give mercy to us. So now, how to overcome the preoccupation with mundane, the absence of introspection, attachment for our material identity, and the conception of being the doer. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a beautiful history. Once, the 4 Kumaras, they came to their father and Guru, Lord Brahma, and they said, oh, we have a question. The mind is naturally attracted to the sense objects of the world. And when you experience the sense objects, they make impressions in the mind. And so, the sense objects are naturally related to the mind, and the mind is naturally related to the sense objects. So how is it possible to attain the perfection of yoga? By separating the mind from the external sense objects. This was the 4 Kumaras' question to their father and Guru. So Lord Brahma, he heard the question, and he'd just been engaged in making the creation. So in creation, you have to have some contact with Rajagun, the mode of passion. So because he'd been involved a little with the mode of passion, he couldn't think of the answer. The answer wasn't coming to him. So just think about that, you know. If we are involved, if we're passionate in our activities, in our thoughts, in our behavior, we actually can't think clearly about the very basic tattva of what is the perfection of yoga. how is it that if the mind naturally goes to the sense objects and the sense objects naturally go to the mind, how is it possible to attain the perfection of yoga by separating the two? So then Brahma, he was just thinking and he couldn't come up with the answer, and suddenly the sky became full of light. And they were almost blinded by the light, and then they looked, and then they saw in that light there was a beautiful swan. A beautiful swan. They bowed down to this divine being. They gave pranams. And they said, "Who are you?" So then the swan, he had a sense of humor. So the swan said, because the four Kumaras, they like meditating on impersonal Brahman, right? That everything is one. So the swan said, if everything is one, then why are you asking, who are you? Because you are me and I am you, right? And everything is one. Yeah? Or if you think that I am made of material elements, then you should say, who are you, 5? Right? Because if spirit is all one, so there's no question of who are you. And if you're asking a question from the point of view of the relative world, everything here is just the 5 elements. So who are you, 5? And that's it. And so this swan is actually Hamsa avatar. He's the swan, just like, there's a boar incarnation, there's a fish incarnation, there's a tortoise incarnation, there's a lion incarnation. So this is the Hamsa avatar, the swan incarnation. So the swan incarnation teased them a little bit first, because knowing that they had some inclination towards impersonalism. And then the swan incarnation said this: Jagrat swapta sushupting cha gunato buddhi brittayaha tasam vilakshano jiva shakshitwena vinishchitaha. The meaning is that the state of wakefulness, the state of dreaming, and the state of deep sleep, these are all the functions of buddhi, material intelligence. We have a gross physical body, and then we have a subtle body. Part of that subtle body is buddhi, material intelligence. And this buddhi has these 3 phases. So then he said, tasam vilakshano jiva. The jiva is to be distinguished from these 3 states of consciousness. Why? Sakshitvena vinishtita. Because he's the sakshi. He's the witness of them. So what this really means is this. Now a person, let's say he's awake. And when he's awake, he experiences this material body and mind and senses, and he's going here and there. But then when that is caused by some mode of goodness comes. When mode of goodness becomes a bit prominent in the consciousness, then you wake up and you're awake. But then when rajas, the mode of passion, comes, it makes you fall asleep and you start to dream. And so, if you're awake and you're very passionate, then you'll find that you're kind of dreaming, even when you're awake. Right? When the mind is full of passion, it's always thinking about, when will I enjoy this really nice thing? Dreaming about some future pleasure. That's the nature. So, but when rajas becomes really strong, then you just become disconnected from the external world and go fully into the dream state. So now when you're in the dream state, you have no awareness of your physical body. It's just lying there on the bed, snoring, dribbling on your pillow, whatever, like that. But you don't know that, right? Because you're in your subtle body. And now you're in your subtle body, you're going here, there, and everywhere, and you think that you're awake. But actually, no, the body is lying there, and you're moving around thinking that you're awake. Did you ever have a dream that you went to work? Yeah? Did you ever go to work in your dream? Yeah? Well, if you knew that you were actually sleeping, then you would have taken the day off. Right? You would say, hey, it's a nice day today, but this is a dream, right? Okay, no need to go to work. Yeah? If in your dream you go to work, but you will not get paid overtime. Right? So we're so convinced because of our ego. When we dream, we're totally convinced that it's all real. And when we're awake, we're totally convinced also that it's all real. But when we're awake, that experience is just as unreal as the dreaming state. Just like the dream, after whatever 40 minutes or so, will just vanish. It will be gone. So in the same way, after whatever 40 years or so, this one will also vanish. And there'll be nothing left, not a trace. So the person goes into the dream state. But then, so Jagra means waking. Swapa means dreaming. Shashukti means deep sleep. Then when the mode of ignorance becomes stronger, then you go into the deep sleep. So in deep sleep, then the subtle body is dissolved. Subtle body is dissolved. So intelligence is not working. The senses are not functioning. We can't say that in deep sleep that we're actually unconscious. We're not unconscious. We're conscious because consciousness is part of the soul. But we're conscious of nothing. It's called alamban shunya, the absence of an object of experience. So we're still there, but we're not experiencing anything. So this is described in the Upanishads. There it says, Sukamaham aswapsam nakinchit avedisham. In the Upanishads it is said, if you've been sleeping and you've been in deep sleep, because if you don't go into deep sleep, then when you wake up in the morning, you will not feel refreshed. You'll not be rested. You know, that's a kind of torture when you imprison someone and then they fall asleep, but then you wake them up before they go into deep sleep, and you keep doing that, and you never get, even though you sleep sometimes, but you're never refreshed. So the soul becomes refreshed in deep sleep because the Atma enters into the Paramatma at that time, and it becomes refreshed. So now in deep sleep, Sukamaham asapsam nakinchit avedisham. When you wake up and someone said, how did you sleep? You say, Sukamaham asapsam. I slept very happily. I don't remember anything. Right? Because if you remember lots of dreams, sometimes it's chaotic and you don't feel rested. But when you sleep and you wake up and you don't remember anything, it means you had a good deep rest. So the Upanishads say, look, if you say that the material ego makes us identify with the body, but when that ego is dissolved, we're actually Brahman, then we would not have any memory of what it was like being in the state of deep sleep. This is the argument that the Upanishads are given. We wake up and say, how do you sleep? Oh, I don't remember anything. I was so happy. So that proves that behind the material ego, the soul is an individual with a pure aham artha. There's a pure sense of I in the soul. If the soul did not have a pure sense of I, there was only Brahman and everything is one, then the material ego would have nothing to cover. Right? The material ego is a limited material element. How can it cover the unlimited Brahman? So the spirit has to be a minute particle of spirit with a sense of I that can be appropriated by the material ego. If the soul didn't have a sense of I to begin with, then the material element of ego could not appropriate that sense of I to itself. You see? So what happens is when we go into deep sleep, then we're still the witness, but we're the witness of nothing. We see nothing. So the Hansa avatar told them, just understand this fact. You can think about it now. How day after day in your life, now yesterday you were awake, and then you dreamt, and then you went into deep sleep, and then you dreamt again, you went into deep sleep. You do that a few times during the night. And then when passion and ignorance start to just subside somewhat, then sattva comes and then you wake up. So this body that you give up when you're dreaming, that's left lying on the bed, that's not you. And then the subtle body and mind and the ego even that you give up when you go into deep sleep, that's also not us. So we're giving up these things every day. So what's left? Shakshi, Sakshitvaina Vinishtita. That being who is the witness of the three changes of state, that is the symptom of the jiva. So Sakshitva means the quality of being the witness. That is who the Atma is. So this is the first thing. To overcome the preoccupation with mundane things, to overcome the absence of introspection and attachment to material identity and the conception of being the doer, when you sit down to chant, then just become situated in Sakshitva. Shakshi, I am the witness. This external world and this internal world, every day I'm giving them up. So let me give them up right now. Now someone may say, well, that's difficult. But actually that's an excuse. If you're just calm and a little bit sattvic, in Gita Krishna says, Sattvat sanjayate jnanam. Knowledge comes from the mode of goodness. So just a sattvic person can have knowledge. And here the word knowledge indicates deha atma vivek, the discrimination between what is the body and what is the soul. What is the soul and what is not the soul. So just the mode of goodness, just by being calm and peaceful, one can sit and become introspective and just let go of the attachment for the external world and to the material ego, the conventional empirical ego, and be situated as a sakshi, a witness, to see our internal workings from the vantage point of the soul. There's one Advaitavadi scripture. It's called Drigdrisha Vivek. And in there it is said, Rupam drisham lochanam drik, tad drisham driktu manasam, drisha div vritaya shakshi, drigevana to drishyate. The meaning is, the eye is the seer of form. The eye sees the physical forms of this world. But the eye cannot see the mind. Right? But the mind, your mind can see what the eye is doing. Right? Because the eye is superior to the physical objects. The sense of the eye is superior to the physical. You can see them, but the objects can't see the eye. Because the mind is superior to the eye knows what the mind knows what the eye is doing, but the eye doesn't know what the mind is doing. So then, Drisha di Vritya Shakshi, and the Atma is the seer of the mind. So just like your eye sees the external world, your mind sees the eye. So the Atma is the next level, looking at your mind. So you have to be situated in that. But then the Mayavadis say, Drigevana tudishyate, and the Atma is the seer, and no one sees him. But that's wrong. Because the seer of the Atma is Paramatma. Or for devotees. And once you surrender to Guru and Krishna, then Paramatma, he vacates, and Krishna, Yam Shama Sundaram Achinta Guna Sarupam, Shama Sundar is there in the heart. So that Krishna in the heart, he's watching. But he's the next level up, so we can't see him. We don't have the power. We don't have the power to see him. So that every morning we sing, Shubha Dristi Koro Prabhu Jagater Prati Jagukari Doye Mora Sumangala Rati. Oh my Lord, Shubha Dristi Koro Prabhu, my Lord, please awaken, and you cast your merciful glance upon me and awaken Rati love in my heart. It's very beautiful. When we go to we don't go to see the deities, we go for the deities to see us, to look upon us. It's very wonderful. In Vedanta Shastra, it's described that, if you have a field where you're growing rice, then they build a wall of soil around the field, and then they make a channel to where the water is, and then they remove the sluice gate, and the water flows out, and then it fills, and it becomes the shape of the field. Like that. So it's said in the same way, according to the Vedic conception, that when you look at something, a portion of your chitta, a portion of your subtle body comes out from the eye, like water going through a channel, and then it spreads and takes on the shape of whatever object is in front of you. And that's how you perceive.
Wow.
Yeah. So if we transfer that to the transcendental, there are so many songs. Kada karishyasi amam kripakatak. When will Radharani give me her merciful sidelong glance? Why are the glances so important? Akshan vatam palamitam napiram vidhama sakyapasonnanu vivesha tovayase vaktram brajesha sutaiva anuvenu justam yavani pitam anurakta kataksha moksham. O Sakhi, Gopis are saying, O Sakhi, of all the people who are alive, those who have eyes are fortunate. But those who have eyes, but they have not seen the son of Nanda Maharaj as he's going into the forest in the morning, alas, their eyes are useless, like the eyes of a peacock on a peacock feather. It looks like an eye, but can't see anything. Only those who are fortunate, who are drinking the beauty of Krishna when he's entering into the forest. Yavani Pitam, Anurakta Kataksha Moksha, and Krishna is glancing lovingly towards his devotees. Why? Because when someone glances, then a portion of their heart comes out of their eyes and embraces you. And so Shubha Drishti Karo Prabhu, oh Krishna, please open your beautiful lotus eyes and look on us, your devotees. We've come to sing Mangalati for you. So we want that Radha and Krishna will look at their heart will come out of their eyes and embrace us. And Jagukari Doyamora Sumangala Rati, and awaken Rati, Tahadu, Asakti, deep attachment. And then Rati, love, pure love, will come. Okay, I went off the topic. Where am I? Oh yeah, okay, Hamsa Avatar. Let's come back to the Hamsa Avatar. So, here the Hamsa Avatar is explaining to the four Kumaras, look, everything you're experiencing when you're awake, you're dreaming, and when you're in deep sleep, you are none of those things. You are Atman, you are the witness. You are the witness. So, that's who you are. So Hamsa Avatar said, now you understand who you are. Now I can answer the question that you asked, who am I? Right? And do you know what the answer is? You are Sakshi, you are the witness. You are not anything you're seeing when you're awake, anything you're seeing where you're asleep, or the emptiness that you experience in deep sleep. You're none of that. You're just Sakshi, the witness. That's you. And who am I?
Everything else.
I'm everything else. I am everything else. Okay? That's knowledge. And that's what when we go into the mode of passion, that's what we forget. Krishna said in Gita, Bahunam janmanamante gyanavam mam prapajyate. Then, Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, when a person actually comes into the state of knowledge, he surrenders to me. What does he know? Vasudeva sarvamiti. Oh Krishna, you are everything. You are everything, everywhere. Samahatma sudurlabha, but such a great soul is very, very rare. So, idami vishvam bhagavan ivaitaro yatoda jagatstana niroda sambhava. Narad Muni told to Vyasadeva, he said, this universe is Krishna himself. And still he's also separate. Idami Vishvam Bhagavan Eva Itara, that means, and also he exists separately in his Swarup in the spiritual world. Because this world comes from the Prakriti. Prakriti is the non-indifferentiated, just pure potential material energy. Right? There's nothing else, just a pure potential. And the Paramatma enters into it and then transforms it into all the forms that we're seeing. So all the forms are not, this is not your form, and that's not your form, and that's not your form. All forms are primarily Paramatma's forms. And we're along for the ride. You know? Generally you think, oh, this is my body and the Paramatma is living there as well. Welcome. It's like my tenant. He's a tenant in my rental. No, wait, no. This form, that's his form. And you're the tenant. We are the secondary person in these forms. The prominent person everywhere is actually Krishna. Jive saman dive jani Krishna adhistan. When Mahaprabhu explained Trinada Pisuni Chaina, he said we give respect to everyone because the Supreme Lord is everywhere and in everyone. And he's the prominent person. He's the main person. And the actual individual is secondary. So now, the Hamsa Avatar, first he teased them a little bit because of some impersonal inclination. And then he established, first understand who you are, then you'll understand. You want to know who I am? First know yourself. And once you know who you are, instead of identifying with your mind and everything, once you know who you are, then you can easily know who I am, because I'm everything that's left over that isn't you. So now, the Hamsa Avatar, he wants to answer their question. He wants to answer, what was the original question? Okay, test of who was paying attention. What was the original question of the four Kumaras?
How is it that you can perfection yoga if the mind is always attracted to the material sense objects and it's using the senses to be attracted to it? It's a natural attraction that it has
the
for
senses
each other.
naturally go to the objects, and the objects naturally live in the senses. You become filled with the memories of all the sense objects. So if these two are naturally attracted, how can you attain the perfection of separating the mind from the sense objects. So then, Hansa Avatar, he says, the perfection of yoga is not separating your mind from the sense objects. The perfection of yoga is separating you from your mind. Surprise! Right? So, this is the thing. So, when we begin to chant, we remember, who am I? I'm Sakshi. I'm not any of the external things, not the gross body, not the subtle body, none of my experiences, none of my memories, all of these things. It's simply not me. I am part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. I'm Sakshi, only I'm witnessing these things, but it's not me. So, and to do this is not so difficult. In the Yoga Vishishta Ramayana, there's a beautiful verse that is being quoted by Srila Sanatana Goswami in his commentary on Brihad Bhagavatamrita. It says, Api pushpa vadalanad, api netra nimilanat, sukaro hankriti tyago, matas tattva vedibihi. The meaning is this, that those learned persons who know ahankar tattva, the principle of false ego, they understand this principle. They say that it is as easy as it is to pluck a flower. There you go, that was easy. As easy it is to pluck a flower, as easy as it is to close your eyes, that is how easy it is to give up the ahankar. So if we're very rajasic and everything, we just don't stop to think. But a person who's a little bit sattvic in their life, if you stop to think and you separate yourselves by vivek, by discrimination, from the gross body, from the states of consciousness, waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, and then, okay, now I'm Atma, and this Atma I place completely at the lotus feet of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then stay there. Stay in that condition. Because, if you're cooking bread, you make the dough, and you put the dough in the baking tray, and you put the baking tray in the oven, and you close the door, and you watch it for a few minutes, and then you take it out to see, is it cooked yet? So then you put it back in, you wait a few more minutes, you take it out to see if it's cooked yet. What will happen? It will never be cooked. You have to put the bread in the oven, you have to leave it there. And slowly it will rise and it will be cooked. So in the same way, this is one problem that devotees sometimes have, is that they may sit and they start to chant. It's like dipping in the Ganges, but after a few minutes, you come up for air. Don't, you have to drown. The holy name is not for coming up for air. Holy name, you have to drown. Just completely become totally lost in the sound of Sri Krishna's name, in a mood of complete surrender. Don't keep coming out. Otherwise, the Naam will not have the opportunity to cleanse all of our material sanskars and begin to manifest his beautiful divine light, illuminate the heart, and then reveal his beautiful form. So we should chant, and this is why we're told to chant a prescribed number of rounds. You see, when you buy these beads, that you tie them on, and there's 16 on that side, and there's 4 on that side. So that means 16, and then another 16, another 16, and like that 64. So Mahaprabhu said, Prabhu Bali Lakshishwara Jano Lakshishwara Bali Kari Pratijin Lakshanam Jai Grahan Kari. Mahaprabhu said, some Brahmana said, please come to my house and accept prasadam. He said, I only eat in the house of a Lakshpati. He said, what? We're poor Brahmanas. Where will we get 100,000 rupees from? We don't have that kind of money. Will you not come and accept prasadam in our house? Mahaprabhu said, no, I don't mean a person with 100,000 rupees. I mean, I accept the offerings of that person who chants 100,000 names every day. So we say 64 rounds. It's actually just like almost 58 rounds is 100,000 names, but we round it up to 64. So, yeah. So, if a person will sit and they will chant, just chant and without moving. Like this, 32, 48, 64 rounds every day, then everything that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has promised will become true. Everything that he said. Bhava Mahadavagni Nivarpanam, the fire of material existence will go out. Shreyakarva Chandrika Vitarnam, the lily of the heart, the night blooming lotus of the heart will just start to open, being touched by the rays of the moon like holy name. That is the stage of Ruchi. Then Vidyavadhu Jivanam. It is the life and soul of the chaste bride of transcendental knowledge. That means that you become a Vadhu. Eita param tanu brito bhuvi gopavadho. Would have said, of all the people who have taken birth, the best birth is to take birth as a Vadhu. That means a newly married, young, teenage gopi of Vrindavan. That is a Vadhu. Because parakya mood, the married love for Krishna, but being married to someone else, this is the highest rasa. So in the stage of asakti, vidyavadhu jivanam, then one can realize his soul's beautiful, eternal, spiritual form in Sri Krishna's pastimes. So these are in this first verse of Shikshastakam, Mahaprabhu's making this promise. He's advertising what happens when we chant the holy name. But you actually have to do it. It has to be done. That discipline has to be there. So in this verse, after Sakshi, then the next thing, the next two problems are restlessness and impatience. That we become restless. We think that, oh, I'm chanting a few minutes, but I already chanted yesterday, and I'll chant tomorrow. I've got some stuff to do, like this. So we become restless to do other things. And impatience. Even if we chant for a long time, we think, oh, I already tried to chant a long time and nothing happened. No. One has to have a very strong confidence, faith in the words of the Guru and Krishna, faith in the words of the Vedas. In the Rig Veda it says, Om Masya Jananto Nama Viviktan Chid Viviktan Mahaste Vishnu Sumatim Bhajamahe Om Tat Sat. The sages in the Rig Veda, they're praying, oh my Lord, we know that you exist, but we don't really know who you are, what you are like. But how wonderful it is that simply by namakshar abhyas, that means by the repetition of the syllables of your name, we'll come to fully know you. Sumati means we'll have no one can know Krishna fully, but because he's unlimited, but we'll have a realization of your beautiful swarup. Why? Because Om Tat Sat. Om means the holy name. Tat means the absolute truth, supreme tattva. This Om, the vibration of the holy name, we can say Om, we can say Hare Krishna, the names of Krishna, they are Tat, the absolute truth. They're not two things. And Sat. Sat means Swata Siddha, self-manifest, self-existent. In other words, when one takes shelter of the holy name, it doesn't require any imagination or creativity on your part. Only one surrenders to the name, and the name is self-manifest. He reveals himself. So the next point is this Sakshi. The next point is Kalatit. Kalatit means beyond time. We are beyond time. It's a really interesting thing. Just stop and contemplate for a moment. All the things that are going on. Just press fast forward and you see ashes to ashes and dust to dust. Everything which is metal will turn to rust. Everything is just in a state of flux. Everything is changing. The universe is created and destroyed. But we will always be there. We are Kal Atit. We are beyond time. We are beings beyond time. We will always be here. So if we are eternal beings beyond time, then where are we going to spend that forever? Where will we spend that forever? Until we surrender to see Krishna in the form of his holy name, then we'll have to undergo the problems of worldly life. So remember, we are not the residents of this world. In the Svetashvata Upanishad it says, Shrinvantu Vishve Amritasya Putraha. Everyone, listen. We are all the Amritasya Putra, the sons of immortality. In other words, Krishna is Amrita, he is nectar, he's eternal, immortal nectar, and we are related to him. We are not related to anything of this world. Just like if there's a poor urchin on the street, an orphan, and he's just suffering, he has no home, no food, no money, or anything. And then someone comes up to him and says, hey, I know who you are. You're the son of this very wealthy man. And then they do the DNA test and find out it's true. And then he goes and then he lives in a palace with his wealthy father. So we're like that. We're not meant to be just tossed around, suffering the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune here in this world. Amritasya putraha. We have an inheritance. We exist to serve the Supreme Lord in the endless ocean of his beautiful pastimes in Vrindavan. So don't be restless. Don't be impatient. We are beings beyond time, so we can sit and just chant and chant and chant every day. Don't be always distracted, because realization does not depend on like how long the person has been a devotee. I am senior. So senior doesn't mean that you've been seen for years. Senior means that you've seen through the ears. So Srila Govinda Maharaj, he used to say that there was a man, he wanted to find water on his land. So he began to dig in the earth. He dug down a meter, but he couldn't find water. So then he went somewhere else and he was digging there. He didn't find water there. He went somewhere and he was digging in so many places, a meter down, and he couldn't find water anywhere. And it went on for years and he never found water. But there was another man and he dug down 5 meters in one place. And he found the water. That day he found the water. So in Krishna consciousness, it's not a question of how long we've been practicing, but it's how deep we go in our practice today. So we have to try not to be distracted and try to go deeply in our practice today. If not today, then when? Gurudev used to tell the story that when Ravan was shot by Lord Ramachandra, he was dying. So then Lord Ram said, actually, Ravan is very wise. He's very wise in worldly things. He's a great politician and a great logician. Go and ask him what's his best advice from his life experience. So then Lakshman went to Ravan, who was about to die, and he said, now your life is over, tell me, what have you learned? What's really important? And Ravan said, I have learned that, I had a plan. I wanted to make a staircase going to heaven so that all the people, they could just walk to heaven without having to do all these austerities and sacrifices and everything. But I never got round to doing it. And now my life has passed and I have no chance. I didn't do it. But what did I do? I tried to steal away Sita. And now this is the result. My whole kingdom is destroyed and now I'm dying. So he gave the advice to Lakshman. He said, my advice is this. If you're going to do something auspicious, do it today. Don't put it off to tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. And if you're going to do something inauspicious, like steal Sita, then you should put it off. You should think about it 100 times. Keep putting it off and think about it 100 times before you do it. So this is, in our life, we have to make decisions in this way. If it's time to do something auspicious, like every day, chant, then just do it right now. When will I chant 64 rounds? Today. And if we want to do something inauspicious, then consider it again and again and just keep putting it off. So, well done, Ravan. So, Kalatit, know that we are beyond time. Then the next obstacle, how are we doing for time? Because we're beyond time, so I'm just going on. The next obstacle is having a material conception of the holy name. If we think, and we discussed this earlier in the discussion today, if we think that it's a vibration that our material senses can produce, then we with this material conception of the holy name, we make offenses. So that has to be given up. And the 8th obstacle is the miscategorization of transcendence. We can come back to Sita again. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a beautiful pastime. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was touring in South India, went on a tour of South India, and he came to one village and he stayed with one Brahmin, Ramdas. And this Brahmin, he was so absorbed in the pastimes of Sita Ram. And in the morning, he was going, and he told Mahaprabhu, I'm just going to the forest to collect some roots and fruits for Sita Ram. So he was absorbed in being like a maidservant of Sita Devi when Sita and Ram were in the forest. And he was just remembering that pastime, and I'll go and pick some fruits now and prepare something for Sita Ram. And when Mahaprabhu saw this, he was very satisfied. Oh, he's so absorbed in remembering the pastimes. But then he came back and he hadn't prepared anything and he was crying. And Mahaprabhu said, what's wrong? And he began to cry, oh, someone has kidnapped Sita. Ravan has kidnapped Sita. And he was crying so much. So then Mahaprabhu told him, Aprakrita vastu nahi prakrita gocha veda punayati e kohiniranta. The Vedas and the Puranas, they continually explain this fact, that the aprakrita vastu, the substance which is aprakrita, transcendental, supernatural, never comes within the jurisdiction of the prakrita, of the material. Those things which are transcendental never come within the jurisdiction of the material energy. So, if we think that just by a material tongue we can chant the holy name, then this is a mistake. So Mahaprabhu, he went and he found a passage from the Kuruma Purana and he showed it to that Brahmin. He said, look, actually Ravan did not steal away Sita. When Lord Ram went into the forest to catch the golden deer, at that time Lakshman, he drew the Lakshman Rekha, he drew a line around the ashram and told Sita Devi, don't cross over this line. He protected the ashram by mantra. But then Ravan came disguised as a sannyasi and he said, give alms, give alms. But he wouldn't, he tried to cross the line and he got electrocuted. He couldn't cross that line. So then he said, oh, if I leave a home and I don't receive alms, then the husband of that chaste lady who doesn't give me alms will die. So then Sita, she thought, oh, to protect my husband, I must give alms to this sannyasi. And then she crossed the line and gave the fruit to Ravan, but then he took off his disguise and kidnapped Sita. This is what the world thinks. But actually what happened, this was a line of fire. Agni Dev and the original Sita entered into the fire and went to the planet of Agni Dev. And the Sita that actually visibly crossed the line was Maya. And the Ravan, he took Durga, Maya, the goddess of the material energy. Sita Devi is the goddess of fortune. If the goddess of fortune had come to live with him in Lanka, then Lanka would have been fortunate. It would not be burnt to the ground, destroyed, and everyone killed. Right? So that proves that he didn't steal away Sita. But he took Durga, who is the goddess of this material world, and so he was destroyed. And then later, when the Lord Ram came back to Ayodhya with Sita Devi, so some persons, they were complaining that, but how can you take her back? How do you know that she's pure? Because she stayed in the palace of another man. And so then they did the Agni Pariksha, and they lit a fire, and Sita entered into the fire. So the Maya Sita entered into the fire, and then the original Sita, who'd been staying with Agni Dev, the fire god, came out of the fire. So she proved her chastity. Everyone saw that she proved her chastity, but the proof of the matter is that she was never touched. She cannot even be seen or touched by Ravan. Even when Krishna's in this world, the common people see him, right? When Krishna descends to this world, it's not only the devotees, but everyone can see him. No. The devotees see him, but the materialistic person, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Naham prakasha sarvasaha yogamaya samavrita. I am not visible, I am not manifest to everyone. I am covered by my energy, by my spiritual potency. So Jiva Goswami Pad explains that just as if you have a snake, and the snake sheds his skin, You know how a snake, it's like you see the snake, but then out of one snake, another snake comes out. So the snake that comes out is actually the real snake, and the snake that's left behind is just the skin. It's what wasn't really him. So in the same way, that those who don't have bhakti, when they see Krishna in this world, then they see what is called the Sarpa Kanchukavat Maya Rachita Tunu Abbas. They see a semblance of the body of Krishna, which is actually made by Maya, which is covering him just like the skin of a snake. So why are we discussing this? We're discussing this because the topic is Aprakrita Vastu Nahi Prakrita Gocha. The transcendental things never come within the jurisdiction of the material energy. Then how can we chant the name? No, we can beg for the mercy of the name. And then only, not the actual name itself, but the light coming from the holy name cleanses the chitta. And when the chitta is cleansed, it becomes like a mirror. And then in the chitta we can see the reflection of Krishna there. So that will come in the stage of Nishta. In the stage of Nishta, when there's Aikagrata chitta, steadiness of the chitta, then one realizes the Rupa Yukta Nam. The Nam, the experience of the Nam united with the form of Krishna. Then and some qualities also. And then in Ruchi one can realize the form and the sweet qualities of Krishna and the associates. And then in Asakti we can realize our own form and follow those associates. And then when we follow the associates internally, chanting, gradually then Bhav appears, and then that is the siddhi, the perfection of sadhana. So, how to overcome this material conception of the holy name? Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he explained this. Just before he was leaving this world, sometime before he was leaving this world, he decided to dictate his own biography to Sundarananda Vidvinod. So Sundarananda Vidvinod, he said he came with the pen and paper and he took the pen to write, and Srila Prabhupada was crying. And he said, my entire mission, my whole mission, can be summed up in only one phrase. And though I've tried to explain this, very few persons have received it, have accepted it or understood it. And he was crying. So what is that Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur wanted to teach, that he wanted to give, that people were so reluctant to accept, which was really the essence of his teaching? What was that? It's important. We should try to know what it was, because otherwise we'll make Srila Prabhupada cry, and we don't want that.
Create temples in people's hearts?
No. He said Drig Drishya Vichar, the deliberation on who is the seer and who is the seen. So we quoted that verse before, Rupam Drishyam Lochanam Brik. The eye sees form, the mind sees the eye, the soul sees the mind. The my body says, but no one sees the soul. We say, no, Supreme Lord sees the soul, though the soul cannot see the Supreme Lord, except for by His mercy. So when we chant the holy name, then we should not think, I am producing the name, I can see the name, I can find the name, I can catch the name. No, I am completely helpless. I cannot see Harinam, but Harinam can see me. To reorientate ourselves in relation to the holy name, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Krishna is there, and Krishna can see me. And if He'll glance at me with mercy, then when the Shakti comes from His eyes, then I will be empowered to see Him. You see, because Krishna's form is Satchidananda Vigraha, right? Satchidananda Vigraha. So the Sat portion is His form, the Chit portion is His consciousness, and the Ananda portion is His bliss. So when the Chit and Ananda emanates from Krishna, then that together, that is Samvit and Hladini, that is called Bhakti Shakti. You see? So only Krishna's own Samvit, consciousness potency, can reveal Him. Just like, Om Tat Savitu Varenyam. Supreme Lord is compared to the sun. So it's impossible. Now the sun set, no one can see the sun. Even if you go outside with a spotlight or a torch or anything, you can't. You can only see the sun when the sun, by His own mercy, showers His rays on you. when the rays of the sun reach us, then we see the sun. So in the same way, only when the Sanghit Shakti from Krishna in the form of his holy name touches us, then we become empowered to see him by his own internal potency. Like this. So we have to understand that in relation to all the transcendental paraphernalia, we're not the seers, but we can be seen by them. Once Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he was in a meeting of a Dharma Sabha, a religious assembly, and there was one old man there. He was giving a speech, and he was saying, "Yes, I was a good friend of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and I used to give class on Bhagavad Gita, and he used to come and listen to my classes on Bhagavad Gita." Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur is younger then. He stood up, he said, "You have never seen Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in your life." Then that person became upset. He said, "What are you talking about? I used to often visit his house. I saw you were just a little boy running around in a vest. And he was very kind to me. He always used to give me prasadam. He was not rude like you." So then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he said, as long as you think that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is the object of your vision, then you will never see him. When you realize that you are the object of his vision, then by his blessings you may see Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He's the seventh Goswami. He's the incarnation of Kamala Manjari. He's eternal associate of Sachinandan Gohari, eternal associate of Radha Madhav in Vrindavan. So, not only the holy name, Ma Prasadi Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Swapapunya Vatam Rajan Vishwaso Naiva Jayate. Unless someone has a sukriti of sadhu sangha and serving pure Vaishnavas, then the faith will not come to know that all these substances, Mahaprasad, Govinda, the deity, Nama, the holy name, Nama Brahmani, that means the Shabda Brahma, the transcendental holy name, Vaishnava, and the Vaishnavas, they're all supernatural, they're all transcendental. And as long as we maintain the ego, I can see the pure devotee, I can see my Gurudev, I can see the deity, I can see the holy name, I can see the Mahaprasadam. As long as that ego is there, then we're guaranteed to never experience their divine power. So we have to, I don't want to say we have to invert our vision. Our vision is already inverted. We have to turn it around the right way up. It's called Viparya Smriti. Bayam Dvitya Abhiniveshata Ishat Apitasya Viparya Smriti. When we turn away from God, then our whole consciousness becomes upside down. We think I am the doer, I am the seer, I am the enjoyer. No, we're not the doer, we're not the seer, we're not the enjoyer. Krishna is the seer, Krishna is the enjoyer. So, this is very important. When you chant, first, Sakshi, I am a witness, give up all identification. Kalatit, I am beyond time, give up all impatience. Drishya, situate ourselves in relation to the holy name, that the holy name can see me, like the sun shining above my head, but I'm a blind man, I cannot see the sun. I need his mercy. So Sakshi Kalatra Drishya, Anutaptam. Then the next one, the next obstacle is indifference to chanting. But sometimes we do it mechanically, but without any feeling. And it's like chewing sawdust. No taste, no. And so, what is the solution to this? The solution is, Mahaprabhu has given the solution. In Shikshastakam, all this Siddhanta that I'm speaking is there in Shikshastakam, but it's expressed in a very poetic way. It's expressed through metaphors like blazing fires and opening lotus flowers and chaste wives and things like this. All these metaphors are there. So for people who are not familiar with poetry, it's not very clear. So we just explain the Shikshastakam, but in the more prosaic way. What are the metaphysical implications of that poetry? So in the second verse of Shikshastakam, Mahaprabhu says, Nam namakari bahudani jasava shaktish. Oh my Lord, you are so merciful that you have put all your shaktis in your holy name. All shaktis are there. That means Radharani is there, Lalita is there, Vishaka is there, Chitra Champakalata, Induleka, Tungavidya, Devi, Sudevi, Rupamanja, all the shaktis of Krishna. Vrinda Devi, Yogamaya Purnamasi. Nam Nam Akari Bahuda Nija Savashak, everything. So everything is there in the holy name, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for chanting. So here the phrase is Durdaiva Midrishami Ha Jani Nanuragha. Here the word anurag means I'm not feeling utkanta, I'm not feeling eagerness, I'm not feeling a desperation to see you, to serve you. So why Durdaivam? Here Durdaivam means because I've committed many offenses. So Durdaiva Midrishamiha Jani Nanuraga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing what? He's lamenting. This verse is an expression of regret. And so that's after advertising what's the effect of chanting the holy name in the first verse of Shikshastakam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then explains, how do you begin to chant? And he gives the mood in this verse, I am so unfortunate, I have made many offenses. And to have the mood of contrition, of regret, of repentance. This is the entrance. The nectar of the holy name is there, but it's in such a box that the proud persons will never look for it. Proud person will never criticize themselves, see their own faults and lament for their own misbehavior. So this is the first thing, anutap. The word for regret in Sanskrit is anutap. Anu means following, and tap means burning. In other words, if you do something wrong and afterwards you don't feel the burning inside, that means you have no conscience, right? Like a psychopath. And really, if you do something wrong, then afterwards we should be tormented by our conscience. Oh, what did I do? What did I do? Like that. So the anutap, the repentance, the regret, that is the entrance into Nam Bhajan. And this is why we see in all the kirtans of our acharyas, Amara Jivana Sadapat Pirata Naiko Punner Lesha Parera Udvega Diachi Ekoto Diachi Jivera. Oh my Lord, I have wasted my life. I am very sinful. I have given problems and difficulties to other people. When I see others are successful, then I become envious towards them. And if someone else is suffering, then I feel good. Like, we don't want to say that, but that's the nature. As long as the heart is contaminated, those feelings, the enviousness to other living beings, it comes, it's there. You just have to be honest about it. It's there. That's the nature of contaminated consciousness in this world. Dharma projita kaitavatra paramo nimatsaranam satam. The Paramahamsas can understand the Srimad Bhagavatam because that's their nature. They're parama nimatsara. They don't have any enmity towards other people. In this, the word matsarya means envy. In Sanskrit, matsarya actually comes from the word matsya, fish. Yeah, because if they're fish, say they're a fish in a pond, and one fish is swimming around, and he sees a small fish, then he doesn't want the small fish to grow up and become a big fish like him, so he swallows him. So that's the nature of fish. They're looking around and they swallow the small fish. So the actual word for envy in Sanskrit is matsarya, fishiness. So when our consciousness is contaminated, we have this, it's reflexive. There's nothing you can do about it. As long as there's bodily identification, this matsarya, fishiness is there. And so Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written this poem to say, look, just be honest, be simple. Sarlata e Vaishnavata. Vaishnavism is simplicity. Gorapahu nabojyo mainu, premaratana dano, helaya harainu. Oh, Gauranga Mahaprabhu came and he bought this priceless jewel of Krishna Prem, and he gave it to me, but I've lost it just from neglect, just from carelessness. I'm losing my chance to receive this divine love. For what? For what purpose? Why? Asatsanga Charika. I gave up the association of pure Vaishnavas and I have done asatsang, associated with materially minded persons. I have drank the poison of sense gratification instead of drinking the nectar of the holy name. Alas, alas. Kenova achai prana kisukala ghiya, nartamadasa keno nagelo moria. In this condition, why am I even staying alive? What happiness will there be in this world? Hari Hari Bifale Janama Goinu Manusya Janama Paya Radha Krishna Nabojya Janiya Shuniya Pisha Kohinu Hari Hari Bipale Janama Gohinu. Hari Hari, oh my Lord, I have wasted my life. I am drinking the poison of sense gratification. I attained this rare human birth, but I didn't serve Radha and Krishna. Alas, alas. What is this? This is Anutap. It's the afterburning. So this is Mahaprabhu's first instruction in Shikshastakam. So in this book, First Aid for Chanting the Holy Name, we've given just one verse. So it begins like this: Shakshi, be situated in witnesshood. Kalatit, don't be restless, you are beyond time. Drishya, don't have a material conception. No, the Holy Name is looking at you, but you have no power. All power is with the Nam. Anutap, now one should lament. One should lament. And then Anutapa, Jivana Sandho. The next word in the verse, it's a very small verse, you can learn in just a minute. But if you go, it's like a checklist. Just that when you sit down, that's, if there's a race, and they're ready, steady, go, they fire the gun and everyone runs, but you're facing the wrong direction. So you can be using a lot of energy, but you're not in the race because you ran off in the wrong direction. So sometimes our sadhana is like this. We're kind of doing the sadhana, but we're not facing the right direction. We're not facing the right direction. So this is like a checklist just to check before you start. Am I properly orientated in relation to Nam Prabhu, the holy name? So the next word in the verse is Jivana Sandho. That means I am in the Jivana Sandhi. So our Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivinoda Narayan Goswami, used to say this, very profound. It really touched me. He said, all bhajan takes place in Jivan Sandhi. That means the junction between life and death. In the evening we have Sandhya Artik. So there's a Sandhya in the morning, which is dawn, the junction between the night and the day, and then there's midday, and then there's a Sandhya in the evening, the junction between the day and the night. So Jivana Sandhi means the junction between life and death. In other words, just like we spoke about Gajendra, he was in the Jivan Sandhi. He was in that moment. He was about to leave this world and go to the next world. So he's in Jivan Sandhi, the junction between life and death. So my Gurudev used to say, all bhajan takes place in the Jivan Sandhi, the junction between life and death. That means that when we chant, we should think, this is my last moment. If you don't think like that, then there's no urgency. Complacency will come. It's actually in the Niti Shastra, it said that if you are pursuing education, you should think that you're going to live for many, many years. Because education is not something you can get in one day. You have to study a topic and you have to study it for years and years to become a master in that subject. So when you pursue education, you should think, I have a very long life ahead of me. Otherwise, you'll be hopeless. But when you do dharma, when you do any religious activity, you should think that Yamaraj has already caught me by the sika. The god of death has already grabbed my hair and he's about to drag me away. So this is how all bhajan should take place. Once there was, one incident took place. There was one devotee, when he was young, he was in the Gurukul. And one of the Gurukul teachers was really mean to him and used to force him to chant japa, and he mistreated him in so many ways. So then later, when that boy, he grew up, he was like, he really wanted to take revenge. So he went to that teacher and he broke into his house with a gun. And he went into his room and he put the gun to his head. And he said, chant your last round. And he made him take his japamala. He said, chant your last round. And he went, okay, now just imagine, right? Just every day when you come to sit down, you just remember. Don't remember that particular story, but just think, this is my last round, right? Like Gajendra, he's about to leave. Like Bharat and the deer. Or, because that time will come, because one day it will be your last round, right? One day that last round is going to come. And so, and we don't know, it may be our last round. We don't know. No one can say. But that day will come, so we should practice. We should practice. And that will guarantee because then it's game over, it's all over. Whatever your mind is going to, the attachments and dreams and plans and missions that you may have in the material world, forget it, it's just all over and there's no way back. So we have to chant like that. Otherwise our mind will go into external things. So Jivana Sando, Gurudev said, all bhajan takes place in the junction between life and death. And this also has the meaning that I just gave about, death is going to come, Yamaraj has your hair. This is like a Vaidhi Bhakti. This is the Vaidhi Bhakti approach. But that's also there in Raganuga Bhakti. The example, Srila Gurudev gave an example. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has prayed, Asasya dasyam brishubhana jayas tirei samadhyasya chobhana jaya kadanu brindavana kunjaviti aham nuradheya titi bhavayam. The meaning is, Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati, he's in Vrindavan and he's chanting Harinam, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And he just loses a consciousness of the external world and he's absorbed in the Krishna's Leela. So what happened? He's experiencing the Kinkari Bhav, Manjri Bhav, as a very young and beautiful maidservant of Radhika. One day, Sri Krishna had made some offense to Radhika, and Radhika was quite angry, and Lalita is always at her side and stoking the fire of her anger to increase it more and more. And so Krishna had no chance to meet with Srimati Radharani. So then at that time, Krishna's wondering, I need someone to be a mediator on my behalf and go there and speak to Srimati Radhika and proclaim my innocence. There's been a misunderstanding. So he was looking and he went to that manjri. So Krishna came to that manjri and said, I know you are very dear Kinkari of Radhika, so you can go and see her. You are very expert. Alam mana granta nibritam chatumakshaya nibrita. It means that in the morning time when Radha Krishna are lying together, then the hair of Srimati Radhika becomes entangled in Krishna's earrings. And the hair of of Krishna becomes entangled in Radhika's earrings. And they can't even get up because they're all entangled together, so let's just stay here. But there's the problem. Brinda Devi tells the birds to sing, to wake them up, the beautiful singing of the birds. The sun may come soon, and then all the Brijvasis will wake up and they'll be moving around on the roads, and if they see Radha Krishna returning, there'll be a big scandal. So at that time, the maidsons of Radhika, they enter into the kunj, and with their very nimble fingers, they can quickly untangle all the hair and the earrings and the necklaces and so on. So Krishna said, I've seen you're very expert at untying knots. So I want you to untie the knot of man in Radhika's heart. So go there, and that knot with this in her heart, the way that she's angry with me, you should explain the situation in such a way that it will become untied and she'll be favorable to me again. And so that maidservant, she saw that Krishna had tears in his eyes. He was feeling very forlorn and burning in separation from Radhika. So then she had some compassion, some sympathy for Krishna. So then that maidservant set off on a mission and entered into the kunj of Srimati Radhika. And Radhika was sitting quite upset. Lalita was there and other Sakhis. And so then that maidservant came and presented Krishna's case. There's been a misunderstanding. I've spoken with him and he has explained everything. So when Lalita Sakhi heard this, she became furious. What have you done? Your mind has become changed by his association. You have fallen into the trap of his honey-like words. Why are you advocating on behalf of that durta, that cheat, that parastrichor, that thief of others' wives, that lampata churamani, that crest jewel of all debauches? Lalita became furious, and she grabbed the cloth of that manju and marched her outside and threw her out of the kunj. And don't come back. So then that manju was very sad. Because her whole life is radical service. Whole life is radical service. She cannot live for a moment. It is worse than Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur prayed. To be separated from radical service for one moment would be more devastating than the pralaya, the annihilation of the entire universe. This is the mood of Jivana Sando in Raganuga Bhakti. So then, after some days, that Manjari came, and she knew that Radhika was going to be visiting a particular kunj, and there was a path through the forest along the bank of the Jamuna that was going there. So just some distance from the kunj, she sat down on the side of the path and decorated with flowers, and she was just sitting and waiting with great expectation. Oh, sometime asasya dasyam vishobhana jaya stire samadyasya sobhana jaya. On the bank of the Jamuna, there's a beautiful path. When will that day come? When Radhika will be walking with her Sakhis along that path and seeing me sitting there weeping and about to die in the Jivana Sandhi, in the junction between life and death. As Radhika is walking past with her Sakhis, she'll feel some mercy upon me and she'll glance and say, come. And though I was not invited to that kunj, but atitir bhavayam, when will I become the uninvited guest that day in Radhika's kunj, and my life will be saved? So those in Vaidhi Bhakti, they understand, I'm in the world of birth and death, I can die at any moment. Oh my Lord, please save me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But those in Raganuga Bhakti also, they do bhajan in that mood. Oh Radhika, without your service, I will die. Tvada lokana kala hi dangsta eva mritam janam tat padapchamilallasha besaja devi jivaya. O Srimati Radhika, I have been bitten by the poisonous snake of separation, not seeing you. So if you're bitten by a poisonous snake, then the whole body is burning and you have fever and hallucinating and becoming mad, and your prana is about to leave, about to die. Oh Radhika, please revive me with the medicine, with the remedy. What is that? Basically, with the padapta milal laksha, with the footlack. Because it's the maidservant's, Radhika's maidservant's service. In the morning, they have to paint the red lac on the feet of Srimati Radhika. So only this touch of your lotus feet with your red lac, that can bring me alive. So we see the example is there, not only in Prabodhananda Saraswati, but in Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. All those who are doing bhajan, Jivana Sandho, they are doing bhajan in the junction between life and death. So, okay, this verse, it's a short verse like a Bhagavad Gita verse, and we explain the first 2 lines, but for today, it's enough. If you want to learn the whole thing, then you can please take a copy with you and study it. It's very practical, how we can improve the quality of our japa from one day to the next. If we want to change our life, we have to improve our japa. If our japa will improve, our entire life will improve. Everything, our whole destiny, our fortune, our future, everything will be transformed by taking shelter of the holy name, because holy name is Chintamani, wish-fulfilling jewel. All spiritual desires become fulfilled by that holy name. Shri Harinam Prabhu Ki Jai! Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. So just sing a little kirtan, short kirtan, and then I believe there's Akadasi Mahaprasad for everyone today.
Jai.
So tomorrow the program is at 11 o'clock. Correct? At 11 o'clock in the yoga studio. So I'll come before the program. To help with the setup, because we'll have a projector and screen there and make a multimedia presentation for the yoga community.
We'll have everything in the projector now.
Find the right one. Paditpavana Paramadhyal Prema Datapan Mavdi Kumar Sinitananda Prabhu ki jai. Prema Purushottama Sachinandan Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki jai. Bole Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai. Jai Jai Sri Radhe. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Praying for Ocean Prabhu.
Ki jai! Om Nishtapare Stusma Rupanugatari Shila Bhaktidantanan Goswam Maharaj Ki Jai Nitilila Purist Om Nishtapare Stusma Gauragovinda Goswam Maharaj Ki Jai Nitilila Purist Om Nishtapare Stusma Bhaktivigan Bharati Goswam Maharaj Ki Jai Nitilila Purist Om Nishtapare Stusma Bhaktivad Bapuri Goswam Maharaj Ki Jai Nitilila Purist Om Nishtapare Stusma Bhaktivad Bhaman Goswam Maharaj Ki Jai Nitilila Purist Om Nishtapare Stusma Sissimad Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswam Maharaj Ki Jai Om Nishvaya Stursmar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Nishvaya Stursmar Bhakti Dayat Madhav Goswam Maharaj Ki Jai Om Nishvaya Stursmar Shishiman Bhakti Rakshak Shiradev Goswam Maharaj Ki Jai Om Nishvaya Stursmar Bhakti Pragan Keshu Goswam Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Sazari Thakur Jagat Guru Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Bhagavad Gokshodas Bhavan Raj Ki Jai Saptam Goswami Sajan Thakur Bhaktinod Ki Jai Krishna Sarvo Shri Jagannath Bhavan Raj Ki Jai Shri Rupanuga Gauri Guruvag Ki Jai Jai Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhakti Raghunath Shri Gopal Bhatta Rasuna Sadhu Swantu Ki Jai Praise Go Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Brajamandala Ketramandu Gaura Mandal Ki Jai Shri Ramanukari Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Grantaraj Shri Bhagavatam Ki Jai Shri Radha Govinda Govinatha Madan Mohanju Ki Jai Nandakari Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Sankara Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Radha Shri Bhat Palankari Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Hare Srasa Subrisha Bhavana Nandini Smati Radhani Ki Jai Jai Gaura Shri Janata Premanande Hari Hari